Alright, you ready to do this? Yeah! Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Budget Drift Build. Today we're going to be adding a bit more steering angle. I know what you're saying. Spun out about 1 billion times. Everyone's saying, get an angle kit, get a hydro, but I will not. I want to learn how to do it like this. Yeah, well I caved. So I got this angle kit from a eBay store here in Oz called Style Secret Motorsport, something like that. It was about 700 bucks AU. It's just a generic angle kit. It's not a name brand or anything. If you read any forum posts about angle kits, it's very divisive. Often everyone arguing about which one's best. So if you can afford a competition level kit like SLR or Wisefab, definitely go for that. But I felt like this is a happy medium between like the $50 eBay style angle adapters you can get that don't even fit properly, and then getting a Wisefab or SLR kit. I get it, that and Wisefab are probably at the top of their game as they're used at the pro level. But for me to fork out the money for an SLR kit on this thing would be worth more than the car itself. It comes with all Heim joints, adjustable lollipops. For what I'm doing with this thing, it should be mint. Alright, this is the first time I've done an angle kit, so I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'll be kind of learning as well as I go. To get all the original parts off, we need a 21, an 18, a 16mm, and the same size spanners. Extension, ratchet, some decent shifters, a decent hammer, not something that you'd use to hang a little picture on the wall, and some possum piss. Things that are probably going to give us the most grief is the main control arm stud there, just because it's, as you can see, it's not much room to get any tooling on it. Holds the bottom ball joint on there. If you're just replacing your rear lollipops here, they can be a bit of a pain to get off. But if you just add a lot of lube or tyre shine or Windex or something like that, it usually helps a lot. Right, first thing I'm going to do is just hit everything with a bit of possum piss. Just going to back off the tie rod lock nut while it's all still attached. Right, what are we doing next, mate? Tie rod?
Tie rod.
Tie rod. Alright. Hey! Hit my radiator with the bloody spanner. Give me that. Jeez, mate. Alright, this is the part where we gotta get a bit rough. You can get a ball joint splitter, but I've always just smashed them with a hammer because you got to give them a fair shock and it should just drop out. If you add the lubricant like the WD-40 before, it makes these super easy to come off. And then if you've got an impact gun with like a swivel, you can just wind them off like I did. Voila. Now this is something to look out for if you're going to be going for more angle. Obviously I'm not going to have that much angle. You can see the brake line starting to get a few sort of stress cracks because it's going beyond the normal range that it used to go. So if they're getting a bit old and you're getting an angle kit, it usually can't hurt to get a new set of brake lines. I'm going to run with mine as it is, but it's just something to look out for. The left hand side control arm mount isn't too bad. There's a bit of space around it all. The right hand side looks accessible, but then it has that engine mount that basically cuts straight over the top of it. So there it is there, but luckily I kept my socket on there and get this extension through that part. There we go, it's a bit tight but it works. We're getting there. It looks like we'll be going into the night with this thing. Alright, that was not too bad. Alright, it's next day now. Kind of threw in the towel last night. I just greased up all the heim joints and just prepped everything for today. I hate late night grease. Alright, you can see the clear difference in length there now. And the steering arms. But yeah, anyway, with this getting it off, as you saw, if this is stuck in the subframe of the car, you just give it a bit of a whack on the side, it should drop out. Alright, now we'll get to installing the new angle kit. Alright, I've also got all these parts to work out. Luckily they come already in the orientation they need to go with all the bits. Start with the steering adapter. This little cone, there's 3 settings, so there's 2 pins that hold it in place that way, or diagonally, or get it into the center. That's for your Ackerman. I'm just running the in-between setting, and then I can just adjust it up or down depending on how the car feels. Lower control arm end and the old steering arm end, or the old tie rod end. Alright, we've got these 2. Some people call them F-cabs, front control arm bush. But it's not really a bush, well I guess the old one is. Some people call them lollipops. This is obviously a solid version. This replaces these. You can see how bad my old ones were. Dynamic castor. So yeah, they always flog out on these Beamers. I'm also going to run them wound all the way in, because that's going to give me a bit more of a positive castor. You can buy these already with the offset castor, these ones, but winding these all the way in is going to give me the same effect. But at least they're adjustable, because if I don't like the amount of self-steer that this gives, which is what castor will do, then I can adjust it. The front wheel sitting here, adjusting this in or out will move the position of the wheel relative to the top of the coilover. Right, I'm going to start by putting the tie rod bolt in. You can see it just locates like that. The reason I'm putting that in already is if you see it on here, there's not much room to tuck it in once it's all bolted up. Where the old tie rod goes, need bolt, washer, and then a little spacer, otherwise it's offset, so you need the spacer there. Shove that bad boy on. Other washer and the nut. The short one with the taper will be the lower control arm mount here. And taper end up, obviously, because that's a taper in there. Leave everything loose but in position. Now all these cones and everything that go with it, rather than relying on it all just fitting up when you slot it all into place, work out where everyone goes, because they're quite a tight tolerance, and just give it a tap into place, because you'll struggle to just feed them in when it's in the car. So that cone on the outer control arm goes up like that, locates on the bottom there. Chuck the nut on. Happy days. Alright, and then this is the main pin that goes through the subframe. Get that bad boy in. Another special washer. There we go. And then just hang the lollipop off the end. Probably doesn't hurt to put a bit of grease on the end there. Shunk. Feed that in. It's a bit of a stuff around, but I just need a little bit of a love tap. There we go. Nut on so it doesn't fall out. And then try line this up. Not easy. Make sure they're on the little dowel locators. Well, you'll know about it because you'll have a big gap in between there. Alright, steering arm. Remember to put the little washers in first so you don't struggle with them later. I'm actually going to wind the tie rod out and just fit that up on its own first. Alright, and then I've wound my lock nut all the way back to the end of the thread because this whole thing's going to be longer. But because there's a lot more thread on the steering arm than the tie rod, we'll get this started a bit till we get to about the same length as the tie rod, and then we can thread them both evenly. I'll show you. Wind it in until now it looks like we've got about the same as on this end. And there you go, you can see now we've got about close to the same amount of thread on both sides, so we don't run out of adjustment anywhere. Obviously it has to be aligned, but it's a good starting point. There we go. Alright, now everything's in place. That's pretty much is the hard part, except for that dumb bolt up there, which we all know about. Oh yeah. But I was expecting that. It's not a shock to me. Because when you do this, it's going to sit lower because the arms stick out further, so they go higher up. So I'll just have to raise it up a little bit. But you can see there's a clear example of the caster now. You see how far forward the wheel sits in the wheel arch. So whether that's going to be good or bad for me, I don't know until I drive it, I guess. So I worked out I had no more adjustment left in my shocks at the front, so I'm going to have to get some spacers or something to space them up a bit. So I just fitted my skid tyres on at the front, which are a lower profile, so you can see the extra clearance, so I can just test it like that and then sort out the height issue another day. The tyres that I normally have on the front are probably a bit too big anyway. They're 205 55s. So I've probably got a bit of too big sidewall as it is, but I do need a bit more height out of the front now. But today we're just testing the angle kit, so let's do it. Just mounted my GoPro to the front so we can see what's going on. Alright, do a few lock to locks. Alright, that's crazy. Feels like the steering never ends. It's what we want, I guess. I can't wait to test it out. Hope you got value out of this. I cannot wait to test this out now. If you're thinking about doing an angle kit, there's a lot to choose from of varying quality and design, but the overall concept is still the same. But if I only get a few people get value out of this, then it's made my day. Time to get this aligned and send it, I guess.